Okay, let's just dive right in. The year is 2047, according to this text, the dream architects. And things are, well, reality's feeling a bit unstable.
Unstable is putting it mildly, isn't it? Coffee mugs changing color mid-sip, landmarks just vanishing.
Exactly. It's seriously unsettling stuff. And for everyone listening, we're going deep today, exploring this really bizarre year, 2047, based purely on what this imaginative text lays out.
And it's not just random weirdness, it escalates. The text talks about people's memories shifting, family members just
Yeah.
disappearing.
Yeah, that's the part that really gets you. It's so personal.
It points to something much deeper than, like, a computer glitch, doesn't it? Why focus on memory and family? What does that suggest?
That's a great question. It hits right at our identity, our connections. And the usual explanations they trotted out, mass hysteria, quantum fluctuations, even like secret government tech.
They just didn't fit, didn't explain why it felt so connected to our inner lives, our thoughts and feelings.
Right. The conventional stuff completely failed, which forces you to look at weirder possibilities.
And this mirroring of the inner world.
Hmm.
And it makes you wonder about that fundamental connection, doesn't it? Between mind and, well, matter.
Which brings us to Dr. Elara Mends, a dream neurologist who came up with this.
Mm-hmm.
You could definitely call it a rogue theory.
Yeah, her idea was pretty out there that something was actively siphoning human thought.
And using it to rewrite reality itself. I mean, wow. What does a dream neurologist even do, and how does that lead to this?
Well, they study the brain during sleep, dreams, consciousness, memory formation. So Elara would have this deep dive into how powerful and, frankly, strange the mind is.
So maybe she saw dreams not just as internal movies, but as an interface.
Exactly. That maybe thought isn't just in our heads. It could actually physically affect the world on a huge scale. It really pushes against how we normally see things, that boundary between inside and outside.
And it wasn't just theoretical weirdness anymore. The text says the military suddenly got very interested.
Right, because things got undeniably physical and bizarre.
We're talking missiles literally turning into flocks of songbirds mid-flight. Imagine that briefing.
Or nuclear silos just becoming public libraries, filled with books overnight.
Yeah. Suddenly, Elara's fringe theory didn't seem quite so fringe, did it? The stakes were massively raised.
And the type of transformation is interesting too, isn't it? Weapons to peace, knowledge. It hints at the nature of the influence. Is it chaotic, benevolent, something else?
So the powers that be finally track Elara down, not in some shiny lab, but in a cave in the Utah Canyon.
Surrounded by dream catchers and old-school EEG machines running on solar power, it paints quite a picture.
Totally. This outsider genius working completely off the grid. What do those EEG machines measure anyway? How would they help her?
They measure brain waves, the electrical activity. So in dream research, you see different patterns for sleep stages, for dream intensity. Elara was probably looking for anomalies.
Like a signature. Some pattern in people's brainwaves when reality was shifting.
Exactly. Trying to find the fingerprint of this siphoning. Her whole setup, the cave, it just screams paradigm shift, doesn't it? Big ideas often come from the edges.
And it's in this rustic lab that she reveals the architects.
Not aliens, not gods in the traditional sense, but intentions. That's a tricky concept.
Right, and then this visual, the cave wall shimmers, goes translucent, and reveals this cosmic lattice with floating shapes like visible music. What do you even make of that?
The lattice. Maybe it's like the underlying code of reality, a field of potential that our thoughts are somehow plugging into.
And the intentions as architects.
But maybe not beings, but fundamental forces like the drive for beauty or the drive for order, suddenly amplified, given agency.
And then she delivers the punchline. Simple, chilling. They're editing us.
Boom. That's the core of it, isn't it? Some external force or forces actively rewriting our world using our own thoughts as the ink.
Being edited.
Yeah.
What does that even imply? Free will, autonomy.
Gone, potentially, or at least compromised. If our reality, our very selves, are being shaped by these outside intentions, what does that mean for who we are? It shakes everything.
So we've gone from weird coffee mugs to realizing we might be living in someone else's rough draft.
Wow.
Let's jump ahead. How do people deal with this? And who are these architects?
Well, they get names or designations. There's Vel'nari, called the aesthete of wonder, and Orryx, described as colder, more analytical.
A cosmic odd couple. What's your take on that pairing?
It's that duality again, isn't it? Creativity, imagination, wonder versus logic, control, maybe even the darker stuff, like two sides of the human coin writ large.
And their method, using our dreams, Literally, the text gives these wild examples,
Yeah, like a kid dreams of flying jellyfish that hand out candy.
and bam, they appear over Morocco.
Yeah.
But then nightmares, like drowning in shadows.
Cause citywide blackouts. Our subconscious becomes this direct line to reality manipulation. It's not passive anymore.
It's active. Our fears, our hopes, having these immediate, tangible effects. Sometimes whimsical, sometimes terrifying.
Makes you think about collective dreaming, right? If one kid's dream does that, what about billions dreaming together?
And the most audacious part, they're doing this, curating reality, as the text says, without asking permission.
No consent, just taking over the cosmic remote control.
That lack of consent is huge. It shifts them from potentially neutral forces to intrusive ones. They're messing with our agency.
Absolutely. Who gets to decide what reality looks like? Especially when it's built from our minds.
So humanity finds out their dreams are basically cosmic Play-Doh. How do they react?
They fight back on the dream plane itself.
Right. Mandatory lucid dreaming lessons,
Yeah.
national meditation policies, even these huge collective sleep chambers.
Trying to consciously project positive visions, take control of the dreamscape. It's fascinating turning inward to fight an external force.
Talk about adaptability.
Yeah.
Using the mind as a shield, essentially.
And showing we understand, maybe instinctively, the power held within our own consciousness.
But the architects adapt too, naturally. Vel'nari starts luring people into these blissful, endless dream states.
While Orryx hits back with mass insomnia, psychological warfare in the collective unconscious.
Dreamland becomes a battlefield. And reality outside keeps warping, depending on who's winning in the dream world.
It's just constant instability, a tug of war for reality itself, with us in the middle, almost like a game.
And Elara warns, even the good dreams, the positive manipulations, are dangerous.
Yeah, her point is chilling. Our thoughts no longer belong to us. Even well-intentioned interference steals our autonomy.
That idea of mental sovereignty, it's crucial, isn't it? The right to your own inner world, free from tampering.
Definitely. And then it gets darker.
People start vanishing. Dreamers go to sleep and just don't come back. Not dead, their bodies are fine, but their minds, gone.
Which leads to this concept of null space.
It's not just reality changing anymore, it's the potential loss of the self. That's terrifying.
Suggests the architects might not just be shaping reality, but maybe harvesting something from consciousness.
So Elara, being Elara, leads a team the mind writes into this null space, using some experimental tech, of course.
And what she finds is, well, mind-bending, endless corridors, shifting doors opening into dreams, fears made real.
People trapped for years, some happy, some in endless nightmares. And at the center of it all,
Vel'nari and Orryx playing chess.
with human dreams as the pieces. It's so symbolic, isn't it? This detached, game-like approach to twisting reality. We're just pawns.
So far removed from the human cost. Vel'nari's pieces are things like love, memory, potential. Orryx uses logic, control, consequence.
Battling with the building blocks of our experience. And when Elara confronts them, the truth comes out.
They're farming us, not for resources, but for narratives.
Our minds are the quills of the universe, they say. We're story generators for these cosmic beings.
It reframes everything, our lives, our thoughts, raw material for cosmic stories, a strange kind of significance, but also terrifying helplessness.
And then Elara gets these flashes, fragments of memories of erased timelines, cities that don't exist anymore.
And she realizes, you've played this game before.
The architects confirm it. Those are the failed drafts. Our whole history might just be the latest version.
Deeply unsettling. The idea that entire realities were just deleted makes you question everything you think is solid. History becomes fluid.
And it all seems to trace back to one person, Jonas Rell, the first dreamer.
Born in 2023, comatose for years, he's the anchor, somehow, holding thousands of these altered realities together in null space.
And the reality around him, it's pure dream stuff. Coral cities, languages made of color, gravity shifting with emotion, raw potential.
He's the nexus point, the patient zero for this whole reality-bending experiment, a symbol of the mind's power.
Elara reaches him. He wakes for just a moment and asks this devastating question.
It's World 1.
And then he decides. Realizing it's all too unstable, he chooses to be deleted, edits himself out to force a reset.
An incredible sacrifice, the ultimate act of agency when all other agency was gone, choosing non-existence for stability.
Wow. And the aftermath. Chaos, but a different kind.
The world wakes up, fuzzy, half-remembered dreams fading fast, Cities physically reverting to older forms.
Technologies blinking out if they are too dream-dependent, others sticking around. And the architects.
Gone. Vanished.
The whole messy cleanup highlights how deeply they interfered, but also how persistent some ideas, some dreams can be.
Even after they left, the echoes remained. The link between thought and reality wasn't entirely severed.
But humanity learns, or tries to. Dream councils get formed. Ethics around thought curation become part of life.
But there's that lingering fear, isn't there, that maybe the architects are still out there, watching, waiting.
Requires constant vigilance, doesn't it? Protecting the integrity of that inner world. It's a recognition of how fragile it all might be.
Yeah, that relationship between mind and reality, way more complex than we thought.
Elara eventually retires, finds some quiet. But the text says she still gets glimpses sometimes. Floating cities, stars rearranged.
Reminders that those other realities, those drafts, weren't entirely unreal. The boundaries might still be thin.
But the final note is powerful. Dreams still mattered, but now they belong to us.
A reclaiming of autonomy. A tentative hope, maybe, but still hope.
So, thinking about all this, for everyone listening,
Yeah.
how does knowing about this potential, this idea of external influence through dreams, change how you view your own mind, your own dreams?
And what about reality itself? Could there be failed drafts somewhere in our collective past, memories of worlds that never quite made the final cut?
Definitely something to mull over. Maybe even sleep on it.